Hello, everyone. This is MC Deck Discussions, and I am Abby Small. And today we have another deck discussion with Tigra in Protection. And the deck is called Just a Cat Playing with Her Food. In this case, the food that she's playing with are the minions that will be basically captured, in essence, captured and set in front of Tigra and left out for her to play with for the rest of the game. All right, so let's get into this. First, let me quickly mention, please like and subscribe if you appreciate this type of content, and I love it when people comment, can have conversations. I enjoy doing that as well. All right, so as far as the deck is concerned, let me go ahead and just describe, say what's in the deck, and then we'll get into the details afterwards. So we have 10 allies, 9 of which have been added, right? So we've got Deadpool, Gambit, Hope Summers, Iron Fist, Iron Lad, Mockingbird, Patriot, Professor X, and Yellow Jacket. For the events, we added Face the Past. And I'll go back and describe actually why each of these are in here. There are very specific reasons for each one. For build, we have build support, the 3 double energy resources. And then on the supports, we have Hidden Base, Quinn Carrier, and the Night Nurse. And for the upgrades, we have added Deft Focus, 3 Pin Down, 3 Ready for a Fight, and 1 Stun Gun. Okay? And then let me go ahead and mention the results real quickly against the villains tested against. I wanted to continue playing against Thanos, actually. I want to get more and more used to Thanos. And he was a good challenge, by the way, for Tigra in particular. Okay? All right, so played against Standard and Expert, against Claw, Ebony Maw, Thanos, and Magneto, and undefeated in all of them, in all the games. And some notable results are we defeated Expert Ebony Maw without going through my entire deck once, even though I was drawing cards every round because minions were in play. The last 2 cards in the deck were Iron Fist and Nick Fury. So this was my second game, and I never even got to Nick Fury, and that's what made me realize, hey, I can get away in this deck without having Nick Fury in it. And so after that, I ended up removing him. So you notice Nick Fury is not in the deck. And we have significant removals and replacements compared to the original deck that I did a demo play. I have a video of a demo play against... who was it? Expert Claw. So, I'm sorry. This wasn't my second game. This would have been my 4th game. But against Expert Claw was my second game. And I've had significant changes to the deck since then. So I will talk about those changes and why. All right. We'll get to that soon enough. And then versus Expert Thanos. So Expert Thanos Thanos in particular was challenging for a couple of reasons. One of which is the usual, he's a stalwart villain. But the main reason he was challenging is because the minions that you can bring out when you use Hunted, and as a reminder for those, or even for those who don't know, right? So Hunted is an upgrade that you can grab. Tigra has her alter ego ability. She has 3 recovery on her alter ego, 10 hit points, and a 6 hand size. And she has undercover work. Action, search your deck and discard pile for a copy of Hunted and add it to your hand. And then Hunted can, you can use this to then go grab a minion, either in the discard pile or in the encounter deck. And then you attach Hunted to it, you stun that minion, and it also has this interrupt when attached minion is defeated, you can ready Tigra. So all of that's pretty cool, but the minions that you bring out are particularly challenging in this deck, and if you start collecting them, you might get an upgrade, you might get a side scheme that comes out that says you cannot take threat off of that side scheme until you get rid of those minions. So you end up having to get rid of those minions and recollect them again. So that's what made it particularly challenging going up against Thanos. But what was really cool when I played against Thanos is Hope Summers. So Hope Summers, after you play Hope Summers from your hand, search your deck for a superpower card and add it to your hand. And so Tooth and Claw is the main target for that usually. And see, notice it's a superpower that costs 4, but you reduce the cost to play this event by 1 for each minion engaged with you. So a lot of times when I would play Hope Summers, and I would purposely choose to play her in these situations, is I would have, a lot of times 3 minions out. So I would grab this 4-cost attack card from my deck, and there are 3 copies of it, so usually one was available, and I could put it in my hand, and I could still play it because it would end up costing just 1 resource. And because I had Deft Focus out, a lot of times I could use Deft Focus to then make it cost 0 and be able to play it for free. So it was really cool with Hope Summer. So I actually got to play Hope Summers twice in that game, each time grabbing Tooth and Claw and being able to play it. All right, and I actually thought against Expert Thanos I was going to lose. He actually got out like extra, even more minions than I had collected. So I had like 5 of them out there, and he had like 2 side schemes out, and he had defeated the first main scheme. So I lost half of the cards that were remaining in my deck at the time. So I really did think I was going to lose, but eventually all that extra card draw and, all the, being able to play as many cards as possible with these allies, being able to utilize them to get rid of, to be able to use them to get rid of the side schemes and the extra minions, ended up just turning it around and then just completely dominating after that. So it was really cool going up against Expert Thanos. It was a really nice challenge. If you're looking for a challenge, playing a deck like this against Expert Thanos is a good one. All right, and then Magneto. Tigra is a great matchup against Magneto. So if you do want to play a game where you have a hero going up against Magneto, who can present many challenges, and being able to control Magneto for the most part, right? Magneto can't, entirely be controlled all the time, but for the most part, controlling Magneto and dealing with the M-type Sentinels who have guard. So let's go ahead and take a look at this right here. So the hero side now. So is Avenger traded, has a thwart of 1, 2 attack, and 3 defense. And that's the reason for all the allies, by the way, that one just having 1 thwart. And then each minion with a copy of Hunted attached loses guard. So note that that's only when you're on the hero side does that minion lose guard when Hunted is attached. It can be easy to forget that when you flip over to Alter Ego side. Just one of those things, right? There's lots of stuff to keep track of mentally, but trying to keep that in mind at least. So they lose guard. So if you use Hunted to grab M-type Sentinel, they lose guard, and you can just leave M-type Sentinel out and play the rest of the game. Okay, and then it has, and then the rest of the hero side here, we have the ability on the hunt is a response after the player phase begins. Draw 1 card for each minion engaged with you to a maximum of 3. And that's the way this deck definitely worked. Like I felt like protection was really ideal for this. And especially if you're using Ready for a Fight, all 3 copies of Ready for a Fight and all 3 copies of Pin Down. Okay. So coming back to finish up with my notes on Magneto, when I played Expert Magneto in the final round, we were able to deal 35 points of damage on her final turn due to playing all 3 copies of Tooth and Claw. It was really cool because it was my last play, and I happened to record it, record my demo play, an extra demo play with this. And so got this 35 points of damage playing it was the only game where I played all 3 copies of Tooth and Claw, and the 3rd copy came out once again being assisted by Hope Summers, who was able to grab that 3rd copy from the deck and allow it to be played, again, super cheaply, maybe even free in this case. It might have been, we might have had 3 minions out, we might have had 4, I don't remember right now. But in any case, it was super easy to play all 3 copies of Tooth and Claw, dealing a total of 24 damage altogether. Just from those alone, and then with these numerous allies, and Tigra herself attacking, we're able to get up to that total of 35 points of damage. So it's very cool. Okay. All right. Now let's get into the details of, why these cards are in the deck. As usual, of course, I have my timestamps, so you can skip ahead anywhere where you think is needed for you. Okay. So Deadpool was added to the deck. Actually, let's do this initially by talking about the deck refinements. So what I removed and what I added. So we'll get a chance to talk about a number of the allies and other cards just from that alone. All right. So originally I had Jocasta in there, Brother Voodoo, a couple of copies of Indomitable, Stun Gun, Energy Shield, Black Widow, and I mentioned Nick Fury already. So Jocasta, I didn't even realize I didn't remove Jocasta. When I first did, I had like 60 cards in the deck originally because I was exploring what I wanted to do. So I had a bunch of defensive cards, and Jocasta was in the deck. And after I removed all those defense cards, Jocasta was no longer in the deck, which I'd better mention. Where did that go? The main idea behind this build, right? The main ideas behind this build. So I want to keep minions in play, right? To gain card draw at the beginning of each turn with Tigra's hero ability, which pin down will help to facilitate. Pin down, by the way, that's the wrong pin down. Okay, so I got to remember to change that in my deck description. So let me go ahead and show it from here instead. So pin down is a 0-cost upgrade, tactic traded. You attach it to a minion, max 1 per minion. So you can still put 3 and have 3 of them played all together. And attached minion gets -2 ATK, right? It doesn't help you when you're on alter ego side, but this deck is particularly designed to prevent having to deal with it, mostly in alter ego side, because usually you're only going to go to alter ego side when you have ready for a fight, which will then trigger and allow you to get back over to your hero side again. Okay, so when you go down to alter ego, you're not going to have to worry about pin down not doing all the job that you want it to. Okay? All right, where was I? Here we go. Okay, and then so that's the one thing: keep minions in play, and then maintain the ability to play Tigra's own cards when it's her turn. Meaning, I wanted to be able to play Tooth and Claw. I wanted to be able to play, Feline Senses and her Precinct HQ and Cat-like Reflexes. I wanted her to have plenty of resources to play those. So what I didn't want in the deck, I decided, were defensive cards. And of course, a person could make that still work out well with all the card draw we had. But in my particular case, that was the choice I made because of that idea that I had here. So I had no defense traded cards in the deck because I wanted to maximize how many cards I could play on my hero side. And then the third thing is allowing Tigra to use her alter ego ability safely in order to grab a copy of Hunted and use Precinct HQ. Precinct HQ is a cool card because you can exhaust Precinct HQ, remove 1 threat from a scheme, and remove 1 additional threat for each minion engaged with you. So at a minimum, you're going to remove 1, but often you're removing, at least 2 and then 3 or even 4 threat from a scheme. And so I wanted to be able to do that regularly, ready for a fight, again, being an ideal card to make all of that happen. Go down to alter ego, but then flip to your hero, then be on your hero side when you start your turn, so you still get the card draw. So those are the 3 main ideas behind the deck. So now with all that in mind, that's why we had to remove Jocasta. Brother Voodoo, at the beginning, I had a bunch of events. I only have 6 events, so Brother Voodoo didn't make sense anymore to keep in the deck, since Brother Voodoo searches your first 5 cards for an event to put it into your hand. All right, next, I had noticed I had originally put in a couple of copies of Earth's Mightiest Heroes, right? Exhaust an Avenger character you control, ready another Avenger character, and that's still a good thing, could be a good thing in this deck, but I removed both of those. Because the original reason I put them in there is I wanted to ready Tigra. Because I thought, these sharp claws, these are awesome. Those would give her +1 ATK. So that was before I started playing and noticed the details there, that it's an interrupt. When you make a basic attack, exhaust Sharp Claws. Tigra gets +1 ATK for this attack. In my mind, she just always had the +1 ATK, and then you would exhaust them to get the overkill or the piercing. So it took me like I didn't notice it my first play of Claw in the standard play, but when I did the expert play, which I did a demo play of, that's when I noticed it and I realized, oh, okay, well, that's not having the impact that I really wanted it to have. So I removed those from the deck as well. Okay. So Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I had 2 copies of Indomitable, right? After your hero defends, discard Indomitable, ready your hero. Again, same reason. I had wanted to always be able to keep her available, ready to attack. And it was still a good idea to keep her ready to attack all the time. But I decided to sacrifice that for other things. I originally had 2 copies of Stun Gun, just decided to reduce it down to 1. I wasn't playing it a lot. And I thought, but 1 copy is still nice because you can use it to either stun a minion or, possibly stun the villain if you use the entire card up. So it was still useful for that in some situations. And Energy Shield, I originally had in the deck to go on a minion, to go on an ally, right? So when an attached character takes any amount of damage, spend X energy resources, prevent X of that damage. And it was effective in doing that, but I felt like I had too many things I was using up resources for. And besides which, one of the key characters for that use was Iron Lad, right? So Iron Lad has this interrupt. When Iron Lad uses a basic power, exhaust another Avenger ally you control, add that ally's matching power to Iron Lad's power for this use. So it was great. It was great for that. But I was also going through my allies really quickly and didn't necessarily need to keep Iron Lad out all the time. I felt like it was more effective making sure to cycle new allies in. And so I felt like that was an unnecessary addition. So I eventually removed it from the deck. Okay. All right. And then Black Widow, I never used her ability once. So she has this interrupt. When a card is revealed from the encounter deck, exhaust Black Widow and spend a mental resource, cancel the effects of that card and discard it, then reveal another card from the encounter deck. So I thought that could be really good. But again, because I'm cycling in this deck, I'm cycling allies through frequently. She wouldn't be staying out there long enough to make that useful, and I never did use it. Okay? So I removed her as well, which, by the way, I want to mention this right now. One of the cool things about this deck is that very often the allies had a chance to utilize all of their attacks or thwarts and be defeated that way. And so so it was nice using them for their basically full usage and not just use them as chump blockers all the time. I certainly used them for that, but I didn't have to use that all the time because, especially because of an upgrade like her cat-like reflexes. So, and it's a superpower, by the way, which is nice because you can use Deft Focus to pay for it. So it's nice to just go, oh, hey, I have this in my hand. I'll use Deft Focus. Boom, now it's out. So Hero Interrupt, when you would take any amount of damage, discard cat-like reflexes, prevent 3 of that damage. And you may confuse a minion engaged with you as well. So it was really nice at times just being able to trigger that, also making sure that you could confuse a minion so that maybe you're using Professor X to go down to Alter Ego side instead of ready for a fight. And then that way you're still neutralizing some of the minions that are out and not too concerned about the main scheme busting on you. All right. So that's it for the removals. And then the additions, which I made sure there weren't as many additions as removals. So we got down to 40 cards. Originally, I think we had 42. Okay. So first of all, I originally only had 2 copies of Pin Down. After my first play, I changed that quickly. Right? I saw Pin Down was a key card here. And so we got up to a total of 3. Iron Fist made a great addition to this. I got to play Iron Fist pretty much just about every game. And it helped make up for the stun gun since Iron Fist, 4-cost ally. get them out there. They have the 2 mystic counters, and you can remove one to stun an enemy and deal an extra damage to it. So it's really nice being able to do that most of the time to the villain, but here and there, if I ever needed it against a minion, then I could. But it was really nice using it against the villain usually. And then Deadpool was a great addition because of having both 2 attack and 2 thwart. And then after 2 times, I would usually use them to defend with. But if I did have Iron Lad out into play, it was really nice maximizing our Iron Lad's usage for either thwarting or attacking. Being able to have that 2 thwart and 2 attack, because most of these allies don't have that 2 attack. Okay. All right. And then the other additions, let's see. Oh, and by the way, Iron Fist and Deadpool and also Mockingbird, they all have, Deadpool has a wild resource. Iron Fist and Mockingbird both have physical resources, so all of them can help facilitate playing ready for a fight. Okay. All right, and then plus Mockingbird, then the addition, helps go with that stun theme for the deck, either stunning a minion or very often stunning the villain. But that's great even with Thanos. You can just, you don't have to waste that stun, and you can still use it against a minion. And then Hope Summers, I've already mentioned the effectiveness of her. Really glad I decided to add her to the deck. Okay. All right. And then the allies I haven't mentioned yet up above with the additions. So Gambit was added. So Gambit's really nice because you can add that extra element of control by searching the first, top 3 cards of the encounter deck and tucking one under him so that only the boost card is visible. So it's really nice for that extra control. That's really his main purpose. But if he happens to get 2, 3, or against one time in one of the games against Magneto, he was able to get a card that had 4 boost icons on it. It was really nice having him be able to continuously attack and then let Iron Lad take over and continue to attack or thwart more. So doing 4 damage or thwart at a time for, he has 3 health plus Iron Lad's 2 health. Like, that is just awesome in that game. And then Patriot, I can't think, it's tough for me to think of a hero more appropriate than Tigra to include this ally. So Patriot is a 3-cost Avenger. And it's in protection, has 2 attack and 1 thwart, 3 health, and has this response: after you engage a minion, give Patriot a tough status card. I had some games where Patriot stayed out the entire game, or most of the game at least, continuing to acquire, most of the game, especially early game, continued to acquire tough status cards and utilize that to defend for Tigra when the villain was attacking. So that was really cool. Not all games was Patriot played, but it was really cool, especially early game, to have Patriot out there and use Hunted, bring out a minion, and then have Patriot get a tough status. Okay. And then Yellow Jacket, with the 16 possible upgrades, I think I mentioned this one before. Yellow Jacket rarely misses pulling one out of the deck after entering play. Right, has this ability: after Yellow Jacket enters play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for an upgrade and add it to your hand. Plus 3-cost Avenger, 2 attack and 2 thwart, both with 2 consequential damage afterwards and 3 health. Yeah. All right, and then as far as the events and supports are concerned. Okay, let's go ahead and go up here to show that, right? So Face the Past is really good for Tigra. So Face the Past searches the encounter deck discard pile set aside area for your Nemesis minion and reveals it. That's exactly what she's looking for, minions. So that's really great. So it helps to contribute to getting another minion out. And so a lot of times you can just leave her Nemesis minion out in play, which I guess I need to scroll down here again because I have my note for that. Okay, so the Hood, right? So the Hood only has 1 attack and 1 scheme and 4 health, has Steady and Villainous. So after the Hood attacks, place 1 threat on the Criminal Underworld dice scheme. It does have Villainous, so that's not necessarily the best. And I think there are times I actually forgot about Villainous. I think even in one of my demo plays, that's the case too. But has villainous, but it is nice to get them out, ready yourself up, and you can get rid of the hood relatively easy too. Okay, hidden base is a really cool card. So now I'll scroll back up again. Okay, so face the past. Build support, by the way, is meant to get out Quinn Carrier, but it's nice having these other targets, including hidden base and precinct HQ. I mentioned precinct HQ before, but hidden base is a really cool card in a deck that you're going to use ready for a fight in. So when you go to it has 3 uses. You go to alter ego side after you change, and it only costs 2, by the way, this support. After you change form, exhaust hidden base and remove 1 stronghold counter from it. Give your identity a tough status card. So then when you go over to your hero side, triggering ready for a fight, you're able to just use that tough status. Really cool, especially 3 uses of it, just awesome. Okay, and then the night nurse, we still do want to make sure Tigra isn't prevented from attacking because of a stun or prevented from thwarting with a confuse, because she does still want to thwart with her feline senses at times. So the night nurse can do that, and plus give her that little bit of extra healing that just keeps her in a safe zone from being defeated by damage. And then for the upgrades, I already mentioned depth focus, pin down, ready for a fight, and mentioned stun gun. Okay, so that's it. So tons of fun. I'm loving both of the new heroes that came with Civil War. So Hulkling and Tigra. But protection is just really awesome. I highly recommend trying some kind of protection deck. Of course, you're welcome to try mine. I'll have the link, as usual in the description. But if you want to experiment with your own deck, I think you'll have a ton of fun with it, with a ready for a fight and pin down combination. All right. Have a great one, everybody. Again, please like and subscribe if you appreciate this kind of content. And I'd love to have conversations with people in the comment section.